Hello friends, you're watching the very famous and super hit English movie, Barbie. In this video we will inform you about the main characters, actors and various interesting effects shots in the movie and complete details of the movie. Friends, if you are new to our channel, then don't forget to subscribe the channel and like the video and support us to watch more interesting videos so that we can be motivated and bring you better videos. So let's move on. The movie Barbie. Barbie is a 2023 fantasy comedy film directed by Greta Gerwig from a screenplay she wrote with Noah Baumbach. Based on the fashion dolls by Mattel, it is the first live-action Barbie film after numerous animated films and specials. Starring Margot Robbie as the title character and Ryan Gosling as Ken, the film follows them on a journey of self-discovery through Barbieland and the real world following an existential crisis. The supporting cast includes America Ferrera, Cera, Kate McKinnon, Issa Rae, Rhea Perlman, and Will Ferrell. A live-action Barbie film was announced in September 2009 by Universal Pictures with Lawrence Mark producing. Development began in April 2014, when Sony Pictures acquired the film rights. Following multiple writer and director changes and the casting of Amy Schumer and later Anne Hathaway as Barbie, the rights were transferred to Warner Bros. Pictures in October 2018. Robbie was cast in 2019, after Gal Gadot turned down the role due to scheduling conflicts, and Gerwig was announced as director and co-writer with Baumbach in 2020. The rest of the cast was announced in early 2022. Principal photography occurred primarily at Warner Bros. Studios, Leavesden, England, and at the Venice Beach Skate Park in Los Angeles from March to July 2022. Barbie premiered at the Shrine Auditorium in Los Angeles on July 9, 2023, and was released in the United States on July 21. Its concurrent release with Universal Pictures' Oppenheimer was the catalyst of the Barbenheimer phenomenon, encouraging audiences to see both films as a double feature. The film grossed $1.446 billion and achieved several milestones, including the highest-grossing film of 2023 and the 14th highest-grossing film of all time at the time of its release. Named one of the top 10 films of 2023 by the National Board of Review and the American Film Institute, Barbie received widespread critical acclaim and other accolades, including 8 Academy Award nominations, among them Best Picture, winning Best Original Song for What Was I Made For. The song also won the Golden Globe Award for Best Original Song, while the film received the inaugural Golden Globe Award for Cinematic and Box Office Achievement. Plot. A stereotypical Barbie and fellow dolls reside in Barbieland, a matriarchal society populated by different versions of Barbie, Ken, and a group of discontinued models who are treated like outcasts due to their unconventional traits. While the Kens spend their days playing at the beach, considering it their profession, the Barbies hold prestigious jobs in law, science, politics, and so on. Ken, Beach Ken, is only happy when he is with Barbie, and he seeks a closer relationship with her, but she rebuffs him in favor of other activities and female friendships. One evening at a dance party, Barbie is suddenly stricken with worries about mortality. Overnight, she develops bad breath, cellulite, and flat feet, disrupting her routines and impairing the aura of classic perfection experienced by the Barbies. Weird Barbie, a disfigured doll, tells Barbie to find the child playing with her in the real world to cure her afflictions. Barbie follows the advice and she travels to the real world, with a Ken joining Barbie by stowing away in her convertible. After arriving in Venice Beach, Barbie punches a man after he gropes her. The duo are briefly arrested. Alarmed by the doll's presence in the real world, the CEO of Mattel orders their recapture. Barbie tracks down her owner, a teenage girl named Sasha, who criticizes Barbie for encouraging unrealistic beauty standards. Distraught, Barbie discovers that Gloria, a Mattel employee and Sasha's mother, inadvertently caused Barbie's existential crisis after starting to play with Sasha's old Barbie dolls. Mattel attempts to put Barbie in a toy box for remanufacturing, but she escapes with the help of a mysterious elderly woman named Ruth. Gloria and Sasha arrive just in time to rescue Barbie from Mattel's executives, and the three travel to Barbieland with the executives in pursuit. Meanwhile, Ken learns about patriarchy and feels respected for the first time. He returns to Barbieland to persuade the other Kens to take over. The Kens begin to indoctrinate the Barbies into submissive roles, such as agreeable girlfriends, housewives, and maids. Barbie arrives and attempts to convince the Barbies to be independent again but fails, and she becomes depressed. Gloria expresses her frustration with the conflicting standards women are forced to follow in the real world. Gloria's speech restores Barbie's confidence. With the assistance of Sasha, Weird Barbie, Alan, and the discontinued dolls, Gloria uses her knowledge from the real world to deprogram the Barbies from their indoctrination. The Barbies then manipulate the Kens into fighting among themselves, which distracts them from enshrining male superiority into Barbieland's constitution, allowing the Barbies to regain power. Having now experienced systemic oppression for themselves, the Barbies resolve to rectify the faults of their previous society, emphasizing better treatment of the Kens and all outcasts. Barbie and Ken make amends, acknowledging their past mistakes. When Ken bemoans his lack of purpose without Barbie, she encourages him to find an autonomous identity. Barbie, who remains unsure of her own identity, meets with the spirit of Ruth Handler, Mattel co-founder and creator of the Barbie doll, who explains that Barbie's story has no set ending and her ever-evolving history surpasses her roots. After bidding goodbye to the other dolls and Mattel executives, Barbie decides to become human again and return to the real world. Some time later, Gloria, her husband, and Sasha take Barbie, now going by the name Barbara Handler, to her first gynecologist appointment. Cast: Margot Robbie at the 2016 San Diego Comic-Con International in San Diego, California. Ryan Gosling at the 2017 San Diego Comic-Con International in San Diego, California. Margot Robbie, left, and Ryan Gosling, right, respectively portray Barbie and Ken. Margot Robbie as Barbie, a doll who is often referred to as stereotypical Barbie. 10-11. Main variations of Barbie played by Issa Rae as President Barbie, the ruler of Barbieland. 12-13. Kate McKinnon as Weird Barbie, the outcast deformed Barbie who lives in the weird house and has knowledge of the lands outside of Barbieland. 14-13. Alexandra Shipp as writer Barbie. 15-13. Emma McKee as physicist Barbie. 16-13. Harry Neff as Dr. Barbie. 13. Sharon Rooney as lawyer Barbie. 12. Anna Cruz Kane as Judge Barbie. 12-13. Ritu Arya as journalist Barbie. 12-13. Dua Lipa as Mermaid Barbie. 17-13. Nicola Coughlan as Diplomat Barbie. 12-13. Ryan Gosling as Ken, a friend of stereotypical Barbie who is often referred to as Beach Ken. 18. Main variations of Ken played by Simu Liu as Tourist Ken/Rival Ken. 19-20-13. Kingsley Ben-Adir as Basketball Ken. 12. Ncuti Gatwa as Artist Ken. 19-12. Scott Evans as Stereotypical Ken. 12. John Cena as Ken Maid, a Merman Ken. 21-22. America Ferrera as Gloria, a Mattel employee who helps Barbie in the real world. 23. Ariana Greenblatt as Sasha, Gloria's daughter. 24-25. Genevieve Toussaint as young Sasha. Rhea Perlman as Ruth Handler, a co-founder of Mattel whose ghost has an office on Mattel's 17th floor. 5. Helen Mirren as the voice of the narrator. B26. Will Ferrell as the unnamed CEO of Mattel. 27. Michael Cera as Alan, a Barbieland inhabitant of whom there is only one. 28-29. Connor Swindells as Aaron Dinkins, a low-level Mattel employee who informs the CEO of Barbie's appearance in Los Angeles. Jamie Demetriou as the unnamed CFO of Mattel. Emerald Fennell as Midge, a pregnant doll in Barbieland who lives near stereotypical Barbie despite being discontinued. 30-29. Asim Chaudhry as a Mattel warehouse employee. Ray Fearon as Dan at the FBI, a contact of the CEO of Mattel. Erica Ford as Skipper, one of Barbie's neighbors. 29. Hannah Calicky Brown as Growing Up Skipper, one of the discontinued dolls who lives with weird Barbie whose growing up feature that involves growing breasts when her arm is pushed remains intact. 2931. Met narrative as Barbie Video Girl, a doll with a TV on her back who is among the discontinued dolls living with weird Barbie. 29. Marissa Abella as Teen Talk Barbie, a teen talking doll who is among the discontinued dolls living with weird Barbie. 2932. Lucy Boynton as Proust Barbie, one of the discontinued dolls who lives with weird Barbie that was seen in the background when Gloria, Sasha, and Alan arrive at weird Barbie's weird house. Boynton was meant to have more scenes, but test audiences' unfamiliarity with Marcel Proust, and thus inability to appreciate the humor associated with the Proust Barbie character, meant that she only appears in a brief cameo in the finished film. 33. Rob Brydon as Sugar Daddy Ken, one of the discontinued dolls who lives with weird Barbie. To clear up his name to Sasha when she quoted Sugar Daddy, he states that his toy puppy is named Sugar and that he is Sugar's father, as Mattel did when faced with controversy. 2912. Tom Sturton as Earring Magic Ken, one of the discontinued dolls who lives with weird Barbie and wears a magic earring. 2934. Anne Roth as the Woman on the Bench. 35. Annie Mumolo as Anxiety Mom. 36. Lauren Holt as Time Mom. 37-36. Ryan Piers Williams as Gloria's husband. The unnamed character is credited as El Esposo de Gloria, Spanish for Gloria's husband. 38. Tanner, a discontinued toy dog known for his defecating feature, makes a non-speaking appearance as one of the discontinued characters living with weird Barbie. 29. Production. Development. The concept of a live-action Barbie film was in development at Cannon Films in the mid-1980s. 39. Renewed development on a film based on the Barbie toy line began in September 2009, when it was announced that Mattel had signed a partnership with Universal Pictures and producer Lawrence Mark, but nothing came to fruition. 40. In April 2014, Mattel teamed with Sony Pictures to produce the film, which would have Jenny Bix writing the screenplay and Laurie MacDonald and Walter F. Parks producing through their Parks and MacDonald Image Nation banner. Filming was anticipated to begin by the end of the year. 41. In March 2015, Diablo Cody was brought onto the project to rewrite the screenplay, and Amy Pascal joined the producing team. 42. Sony ordered further rewrites by Lindsay Beer, Bert V. Royal and Hillary Winston, who submitted separate drafts. 43. In December 2016, Amy Schumer entered negotiations for the title role with Winston's screenplay. She helped rewrite the script with her sister, Kim Caramelli. 44. In March 2017, she exited negotiations, initially saying it was due to scheduling conflicts with the planned June 2017 filming. She revealed in 2023 that she left due to creative differences with the film's producers. 45-46. That July, Anne Hathaway was considered for the title role. Sony hired Olivia Milch to rewrite the screenplay and approached Alethea Jones to direct as a means of interesting Hathaway in signing. 47. Jones was attached to direct by March 2018. 48. In August 2018, Mattel CEO Ynon Kreiz hired film executive Robbie Brenner, who was later appointed head of Mattel Films. 49-50. Sony's option on the project expired in October 2018, and film rights were transferred to Warner Bros. Pictures, causing Hathaway, Jones, MacDonald, Parks, and Pascal to leave the project. Margot Robbie entered early talks for the role, and Patty Jenkins was briefly considered as director. 51. Kreiz was determined to cast Robbie after meeting with her. Both he and Brenner felt that Robbie's appearance resembled that of a conventional Barbie doll and were impressed by her ideas. Initial meetings occurred at the Polo Lounge located in the Beverly Hills Hotel. 52-50. Brenner eventually partnered with Robbie's production company, Lucky Chap Entertainment, and Robbie's husband Tom Ackerley and Josie McNamara were enlisted as producers. 4950 Robbie's casting was confirmed in July 2019. 10. In her capacity as a producer, Robbie pitched Barbie to Warner Brothers herself. During the greenlight meeting, she compared the film to Steven Spielberg's Jurassic Park, 1993, and also jokingly suggested that it would gross over $1 billion. 53 Later on, she approached Greta Gerwig, whose previous films, particularly Little Women, 2019, Robbie enjoyed to screenwrite. Gerwig was in post-production for another film, and took the assignment on the condition that her partner, Noah Baumbach, also write the script. 54-55 Gerwig would sign on to also direct the film in July 2021. 56 Robbie said the film aimed at subverting expectations and giving audiences the thing you didn't know you wanted. 57 In August 2023, Variety revealed that she would earn roughly $50 million in salary and box office bonuses as star and producer. 58. Writing. Greta Gerwig at the 2018 Berlin International Film Festival in Berlin, Germany. Director Greta Gerwig co-wrote the screenplay with her partner, Noah Baumbach. As writers, Gerwig and Baumbach were given full creative freedom. They worked on the screenplay during the 2020-2021 COVID-19 pandemic lockdowns at their house in Long Island. Baumbach felt he understood the film's purpose once Gerwig had shown him the first scene, identifying the element as embracing mortality and sadness and sickness and everything that it means to be human. Gerwig was also inspired by the real-life story of Barbie creator Ruth Handler. 59 Gerwig's film treatment consisted of an abstract poem on Barbie influenced by the Apostles' Creed. For the narrative arc, she was partially inspired by the non-fiction book Reviving Ophelia, 1994, by Mary Piffer, which accounts the effects of societal pressures on American teenage girls. She also found inspiration in classic Technicolor musicals such as The Red Shoes, 1948, and The Umbrellas of Cherbourg, 1964, and said, "They have such a high level of what we came to call authentic artificiality. You have a painted sky in a soundstage. Which is an illusion, but it's also really there. The painted backdrop is really there. The tangibility of the artifice is something that we kept going back to." 60. The script also contains candid criticism of Mattel, which created skepticism among Mattel officials when they received the first version. However, Craze decided to trust Gerwig. Brenner noted that being safe in this world doesn't work, as she interpreted Barbie to be a bold and trailblazer figure. As a result, Will Ferrell's portrayal as the Mattel CEO was meant to be an allegory for corporate America. Craze praised Ferrell and said that while Mattel officials took their brands seriously, they did not take themselves seriously. 50 Gerwig and Robbie had felt the film was most certainly a feminist film, but Mattel officials rejected the description. Gerwig and Robbie informed the studio that they would explore the controversies and problematic parts of Barbie, but also convinced the studio that they would respect the product. 61. Gerwig was also influenced by her childhood experiences with Barbie. Her mother discouraged her from purchasing such dolls, but eventually allowed her to. 62 Opting to acknowledge the controversial nature of the Barbie doll, Gerwig chose to create a film where she would be both doing the thing and subverting the thing, in the sense that she would be celebrating the feminism behind Barbie while also noting the controversial beauty standards associated with it. She was also fascinated by the idea that humans created dolls, which in turn imitate humans, feeling that we're in constant conversation with inanimate objects while also conveying an affirmative message to the audience to just be yourself and know that that's enough. The film deliberately juxtaposed contradictory messaging, such as critiquing consumerism yet glamorizing plastic products, and in the film's ending, where Barbie desires to be more than just a plastic doll. Gerwig made the film as an earnest attempt to make amends between affirming women's worth and conveying the impossibility of perfection, which some perceived to be standards associated with Barbie. 563. Reflecting upon the maximalism of Barbie, Gerwig said the ontology of Barbie was similar to what she perceived as William Shakespeare's maximalism, which she enjoyed in his works. She grounded the film in what she described as a heightened theatricality that allows you to deal with big ideas in the midst of anarchic play. 64. She also described the film as being anarchic, unhinged, and humanist. 62-65. She felt the film originated from the deep isolation of the pandemic, opining that the line in which Barbie says, "Do you guys ever think about dying?" exemplifies the film's anarchic nature. She also found the idea of Barbie being constrained in multitudes as all of these women are Barbie and Barbie is all of these women to be trippy, and felt as a result, Barbie did not need to have her own personal life, as she was attuned to her environment. She also described the story as mirroring a girl's journey from childhood to adolescence, though she did not deem it to be a coming-of-age film and felt that the film ultimately ends up, really, about being human. 62. Primarily, she began her writing by interpreting Barbie as living in a utopia and eventually experiencing reality, where she would have to confront all the things that were shielded from them in this place, Barbieland. She also drew parallels to the story of Adam and Eve and taking inspiration from John Milton's Paradise Lost, particularly being inspired by the concept that there is no poetry without pain. 55. To underscore the tragic elements of Barbie and Ken facing the real world, she focused on elements of dissonance. 54. As such, she chose to keep a scene featuring Robbie's Barbie telling an older woman that she is beautiful after being requested to remove it, as she felt that the scene epitomized the heart of the movie. She also desired to provide a counter-argument to Barbie by featuring a scene in which Barbie learns that some women do not like her, and felt it gave the film real intellectual and emotional power. 65. As such, a scene is featured in which Barbie is being stared at inappropriately on the Venice beach, which Gerwig chose to feature as she felt it was a universal experience, being especially relevant for actors. She was inspired by an audition she did in which she wore overalls and felt that she did not perform well in. 66. The ending of the film features Barbie saying the line, "I'm here to see my gynecologist," with Gerwig describing it as a mic drop kind of joke. She had chosen to include the line as she had wanted to instill confidence in younger girls, as she had been embarrassed about her body when she was younger. 67. Barbie also explores the negative consequences of hierarchical power structures, with Gerwig saying that she extrapolated that Barbie's rule and Ken's are an underclass and felt it was similar to the Planet of the Apes. 65. Ken has low self-esteem and seeks approval from Barbie, which Gerwig identified as a good source for a story. Gosling compared Gerwig's vision to Milton Glaser's "I Love New York" logo, as he felt Gerwig created the film's characters as a way of understanding the contemporary world. 68. Ken has the only power ballad in the film, and Gerwig had identified it as the moment in which she felt the film transcended what a Barbie film traditionally should have been. 569. Casting. The film's main supporting cast includes America Ferrera, Cera, Kate McKinnon, Issa Rae, Rhea Perlman, and Will Ferrell. Gerwig and Robbie searched for actresses with Barbie energy, a trait they described as a certain ineffable combination of beauty and exuberance. 60. In October 2021, Ryan Gosling entered final negotiations to play Ken in the film. 18. America Ferrera, Simu Liu, and Kate McKinnon were cast in February 2022. 70-71-72. Liu auditioned for the film after his agent raved about the script being one of the best they had ever read. 73. In March 2022, Ariana Greenblatt, Alexandra Shipp, and Emma McKee were revealed to be in the cast. 74-75-76. Will Ferrell joined the cast in April, along with Issa Rae, Cera, Harry Neff, Kingsley Ben-Adir, Rhea Perlman, Ngudi Gotwe, Emerald Fennell, Sharon Rooney, Scott Evans, Anna Cruz Kane, Connor Swindells, Ritu Arya, and Jamie Demetriou. 77-28-78-79. In April 2023, a trailer revealed that John Cena had joined the cast. It was later reported that Cena had spontaneously been offered a part in the film after paying for Robbie's meal in London during production. 80. Helen Mirren narrated the film's trailer and the film itself. 81. Robbie and Gosling were each paid $12.5 million for their participation as actors. 82. Olivia Colman filmed a cameo, but it was cut from the film. 83 Robbie wanted Gal Gadot to play a Barbie in the film, but Gadot was unavailable due to scheduling conflicts. 84 Gerwig wanted her frequent collaborators Timothy Chalamet and Saoirse Ronan to make cameo appearances, but neither was available. 85 Gerwig later revealed that during a visit to the set, Chalamet said he should have been in the film. 86 Additionally, Bowen Yang, Dan Levy and Ben Platt were considered to play Kens. Jonathan Groff was the first choice for Alan, played by Cera, but turned it down. 87 Matt Bomer auditioned and was offered a role but ultimately turned it down due to the production schedule. 88 Ben Affleck was initially set to cameo during the beach fight sequence, but scheduling conflicts with Air 2023 resulted in him having to back out, and his role in the film was rewritten for Cera. 89 Set design. Sarah Greenwood and Katie Spencer were the set designer and decorator, respectively, for Barbie. For the Barbie Dreamhouse, they drew inspiration from mid-century modernist architecture found in Palm Springs, including the 1946 Kaufman Desert House by Richard Neutra, and the photography of Slim Aarons. Gerwig wanted to capture what was so ridiculously fun about the dream houses, alluding to its previous models, and referenced Pee-wee's Big Adventure, 1985, the paintings of Wayne Thiebaud, and the apartment of Gene Kelly's character in the Technicolor musical An American in Paris, 1951. Everything needed to be tactile, because toys are, above all, things you touch, Gerwig said of the use of practical effects instead of computer-generated imagery, CGI, to capture the sky and the San Jacinto Mountains. The set design is also noted for its extensive use of a specific shade of pink, Pantone 219. Roscoe Laboratories, the film's paint supplier, faced international shortages due to COVID-19 related supply chain issues, as well as freezing temperatures that damaged stock. The film's sets required the company's entire remaining stock of pink. 1991-92 Because Gerwig also wanted to use practical builds. 93 and had to film sequences in miniature models, then composite the footage onto the actual image. She began discussing the production design with cinematographer Rodrigo Prieto, Greenwood, and costume designer Jacqueline Duran a year in advance of filming. 93 She also called director Peter Weir for inspiration on Barbieland, with the idea of creating it as an interior soundstage world. 66. Costumes, hair, and makeup. Barbie costumes on display at the Warner Brothers Studio Tour Hollywood. Costume designer Jacqueline Duran, who previously collaborated with Gerwig on Little Women, 2019, employed a practical approach to create Barbie's wardrobe. The defining characteristic of what she wears is where she's going and what she's doing. It's about being completely dressed for your job or task. To match the film's Barbieland setting, Duran and her team created costumes made of roughly 15 color combinations that riffed off the idea of a French Riviera beach in the early 1960s and drew inspiration from actress Brigitte Bardot. For Ken's outfits, Duran zeroed in a look composed of colorful sportswear from the 1980s, while actor Ryan Gosling suggested a Ken-branded underwear for the character. Duran closely adapted outfits from past iterations of Barbie dolls, such as the 1993 Western Stampin' dolls and the 1994 Hot Skatin' dolls. She noted the Barbie dolls as a very useful way to look at different ideas of femininity, what that means, who owns it, and who it's aimed at, and reflected this idea in how she dressed the characters. While the majority of the clothing featured in the film were sourced by Duran and her team, they also pulled pieces from the fashion archives of Chanel. 94 Ivana Primorac was the lead hair and makeup artist for the film. 95 In 2024, Primorac and Marie Larkin and Claire Corsic jointly won the Makeup Artists and Hairstylists Guild Award for Best Period and / or Character Hair Styling in a Feature-Length Motion Picture for Barbie. 96. Filming. Principal photography began on March 22, 2022, at Warner Brothers Studios, Leavesden in England, and wrapped on July 21. 97 Among the notable locations was the Venice Beach Skate Park in Los Angeles, California. 98 Rodrigo Prieto served as cinematographer. 99 Prior to filming, Gerwig organized a sleepover with the female cast members for them to establish positive relationships, also feeling that it would be the most fun way to kick everything off. 62 She opted to use filming techniques from the 1950s, as Barbie had been a popular toy since 1959, to create a period-accurate look. 93 She also watched Powell and Pressburger's A Matter of Life and Death, 1946, to understand how pre-digital visual effects were used to create theatricality. To highlight the tragic nature of Barbie and Ken facing the difficulties of the real world, she directed Robbie and Gosling to act as if they were in a drama. 54. Post-production. Editor Nick Huoy returned to work with Greta Gerwig, having also cut Lady Bird and Little Women. 100 Finding the tone of the film was a playful experiment working collaboratively with Gerwig and VFX supervisor Glenn Pratt and VFX producer Nick King. 101 Pratt focused on blending the practical with the digital. 102 practical miniatures were built, scanned, and captured with photogrammetry, inspiring the creation of hundreds of digital miniatures to populate Barbieland vistas, set extensions, backdrops and full CG shots. 103 Pratt worked with visual effects studios Framestore on Barbieland scenes and up on the invisible effects deployed in the real world and a car chase sequence. The palette chosen for the scenes in Barbieland was inspired by the classic 3-strip Technicolor look, and was named Techno Barbie. This required the creation of a software called PPL, a color correcting program which separates the image into the 3 basic components of blue, green, and red, which can then be manipulated individually. 104. Music. Main articles: Barbie the album and Barbie, score. Barbie the album logo. Alexander Desplat, who collaborated with Gerwig on Little Women, 2019, was set to score Barbie in early September 2022. 105 However, by May 2023, he had left the project, and Mark Ronson and Andrew Wyatt assumed scoring duties. 106 The score was released by Water Tower Music on August 4, 2023. 107. Ronson was also tasked with curating a compilation soundtrack that matched Gerwig's vision for Barbie. As the film was being edited, Ronson and Gerwig showed some of its scenes to artists they wanted on the soundtrack. 108 The soundtrack, Barbie the album, was released on July 21, 2023, and features music by Ava Max, Charlie XCX, Dominic Fike, 50/50, Gail, Haim, Ice Spice, Kelly, Karol G, Khalid, Sam Smith, Lizzo, Nicki Minaj, Billie Eilish, Pink Pantheress, Tame Impala, The Kid Laroi, and cast members Ryan Gosling and Dua Lipa. 109 Dance the Night by Dua Lipa was released as the album's lead single on May 26, 2023. 110 It was followed by Watati by Karol G on June 2, 2023. Angel by Pink Pantheress was released on June 9, 2023, as the first promotional single. 111 Barbie World by Nicki Minaj and Ice Spice was released as the album's third single on June 23, 2023. 113 The album's second promotional single, Speed Drive by Charlie XCX was released on June 30, 2023. 114 On July 6, 2023, the album's third and final promotional single, Barbie Dreams by 50/50 and Khalid was released. 115 On July 10, 2023, Warner Brothers released a preview clip of Ryan Gosling singing I'm Just Ken. 116 The album's fourth single, What Was I Made For? By Billie Eilish, was released on July 13, 2023. 117. Despite fan expectations for the 1997 song Barbie Girl by the pop band Aqua to feature in the film, Ulrik Mlergergensen, manager for Aqua lead singer Leen Nyström, said that it was not used. Variety speculated that it was due to bad relations between Mattel and MCA Records, the song's American publisher, who engaged in a series of lawsuits over it from 1997 to 2002. 118 Barbie World, a rework of the song, was instead used in the film. 119 113 It samples Barbie Girl 120 Aqua is credited as a performer and co-writer on the track. 120 121 The film features multiple renditions of the 1989 song Closer to Fine by the Indigo Girls and the 1997 song Push by Matchbox 20, the latter of which Ken adopts as his favorite song after visiting the real world, which becomes a tongue-in-cheek anthem of patriarchal dominance in the fictional Barbieland. 122 While many reviews of the film interpreted this as a critique of the song 123-124 director Greta Gerwig said that she was a fan of Matchbox 20 and I never put anything in a movie I don't love. 125 Spice Up Your Life by Spice Girls plays in a flashback scene showing a little girl's rough play creating weird Barbie. 126-127 Marketing Director Greta Gerwig and Abby Phillip at an event for Barbie at the British Embassy in Washington, D.C. Barbie received an extensive marketing campaign. In the months leading up to its release, Mattel entered into several Barbie-themed promotional partnerships and collaborations with various brands, including Airbnb 128 Aldo Group 129 Bloomingdale's 130 Burger King Brazil 131 Chi Haircare 132 Forever 21 133 Gap Incorporated 134 Hot Topic 135 Krispy Kreme Philippines 136 Primark 137 Progressive Insurance 138 Spirit Halloween 139 ULTA 140 and Xbox 141 Studio parent company Warner Bros. Discovery also engaged in cross-promotion through its TV channels, most prominently with an HGTV renovation reality competition series, Barbie Dreamhouse Challenge, co-produced by Mattel Television, which premiered shortly before the film's release. 142 Trade publication Variety reported that Warner Bros. Spent $150 million promoting Barbie, more than the $145 million budget used to produce the film itself. 143-144 A first-look image of the film was revealed during a Warner Bros. Presentation at CinemaCon in April 2022. Released to the public on April 27, 2022, it showed Margot Robbie as Barbie, behind the wheel of her iconic pink 1956 Chevrolet Corvette. 145 Collider commented, "This photo is just further proof that Robbie was made to play this role. She just looks like a Barbie doll come to life, it's almost uncanny." 146 On June 15, 2022, a second still featuring Ryan Gosling as Ken was released. 147 Despite noting similarities between his look in the image and his previous roles, The Guardian asserted that there is a very strong chance that this will be Gosling's defining role. 148 A Barbie booth was opened at the 2022 CCXP event in Sao Paulo, Brazil. 149 The film's first teaser trailer debuted during preview screenings of Avatar: The Way of Water in December 2022. It featured a parody of the opening Dawn of Man sequence in Stanley Kubrick's 1968 film 2001, A Space Odyssey, where Robbie, clad in Barbie's original 1959 outfit, imitates an alien monolith whose influence on the history of dolls is narrated by Helen Mirren. 150 Along with a theatrical poster, the teaser trailer was released to the public on December 16, 2022. 151 Rolling Stone praised the 2001 homage and the trailer's vibrant colors, and remarked on its vague hints of the plot, "One has to wonder when, or better yet how, it will all get shaken up." 152 At the 2023 Academy Awards, Robbie Co. presented a tribute to Warner Bros. With Morgan Freeman. During the montage, they reflected on the roles and projects they had shared with the company, and Freeman eventually referred to Robbie as Barbie. Citation needed on April 4, 2023, 24 character posters of the several Barbies and Kens featured in the film, tagged with brief descriptions, were shared on Barbie's social media accounts. 153 Empire remarked, you might have thought that multiverse fever would be constrained generally to comic book films and never would have called it Oscar winners Everything Everywhere All at Once. But, it seems Greta Gerwig's Barbie movie will also be flooding the screen with variants, this time of plastic dolls Barbie and Ken. 154. A second teaser trailer was unveiled shortly after the poster's release, featuring a rendition of the Beach Boys' 1964 surf rock song Fun, Fun, Fun. 155. The Washington Post noted that the visually striking and polysemic teaser captivated multiple demographics because of its humor, color palette, and the Barbie doll's cross-generational appeal. 156. An official trailer for the film was released on May 25, 2023. 157. Critics noted its existential tone set against upbeat music. 158, 159, 160, 161. Ben Travis of Empire said, "There's much to discuss here, not least, that it looks visually impeccable, and speculated Academy Awards attention for its production and costume design." 162. A float promoting the film was featured in the 2023 WeHo Pride Parade in Los Angeles. Two of its LGBTQ and cast members, Alexandra Shipp and Scott Evans, were present. 163. In June 2023, a French Barbie poster went viral for including the tagline "Elle peut tout faire." "Oui, c'est just Ken, she can do everything. He's just Ken." Ken is the Verlan slang term for fuck in French, i.e. the phonological inversion of neek, while say, he is a homophone for Saït, he knows how, so the tagline could also be read as she can do everything. He just knows how to fuck. Analysts concluded that the pun was most likely intentional, as the slang term is common knowledge among French speakers. Warner Brothers would neither confirm nor deny this. 164. An all-pink billboard used to promote Barbie. This image depicts a pink field, with the words July 21 written in a stylized font in the bottom right-hand corner. An all-pink billboard used to promote the film. Leading up to the release, pink billboards, blank apart from the film's release date, appeared worldwide, and a real-world Barbie dream house in Malibu, California became available to rent through Airbnb. 165. On July 14, 2023, SAG-AFTRA, an American labor union of film, television, and voice actors, declared a strike action, effectively halting any promotional event that involved the guild's members. 166. Robbie showed her support for the action. 167. SAG-AFTRA President Fran Drescher later claimed that the studios duped the guild into accepting a 12-day extension for negotiations to continue promoting summer films like Barbie. 168. Release. Theatrical. The Barbie pink carpet premiere in Sydney, Australia. Barbie had its world premiere at the Shrine Auditorium in Los Angeles on July 9, 2023. 169. Followed by the European premiere at Cineworld Leicester Square in London on July 12, 2023. 170. It was released theatrically in the United States and the United Kingdom on July 21, 2023. 171. 172. Taking over the original release date of Coyote vs. Acme. 173. Previous iterations of the project were set for June 2, 2017. 174. May 12, 2017. 175. June 29, 2018. 176. August 8, 2018. 177. And May 8, 2020. 178. In August 2023, it was announced that the film would be re-released in IMAX theaters on September 22, 2023, for 1 week only, along with a new post-credits scene. 179. The IMAX edition starts with an on-screen introduction by Greta Gerwig, who notes the advantages of the IMAX format. The post-credits scene includes an intro of Margot Robbie's Barbie, in her 1959 Barbie bathing suit, taking a human-sized Ken doll on camera, which transforms into Ryan Gosling's Ken. It is followed by humorous outtakes, e.g., whether Barbie should marry Barney the dinosaur, and a voiceover by Robbie hoping people enjoyed the experience. 2. As Cera Little notes on Screen Rant, the meta post-credits scene features narrator Helen Mirren as herself walking in on Midge, played by Emerald Fennell, giving birth. 181. The film also received a Spanish-language release in the United States and Puerto Rico on the Theater Ears app. 182. Barbenheimer. Main article, Barbenheimer. Barbie was released on the same day as Oppenheimer, a biographical film about J. Robert Oppenheimer written and directed by Christopher Nolan based on the 2005 book American Prometheus, and distributed by Universal Pictures. Due to the tonal and genre contrast between the two films, many social media users created memes and ironic posts about how the two films appealed to different audiences. 183 and how they should be viewed as a double feature. 184-185 The concept was named Barbenheimer. 186 In an interview with La Vanguardia, Oppenheimer star Cillian Murphy endorsed the phenomenon, saying, "My advice would be for people to go see both, on the same day. If they are good films, then that's cinema's gain." 187. The Barbenheimer phenomenon was widely credited with boosting interest in the film, with a total of 79% of tickets sold over the weekend, 52% for Barbie, being for the two films, a total of 18.5 million people. 4. Home media. Barbie was released on digital download on September 12, 2023 188 and was released on Ultra HD Blu-ray, and DVD on October 17, 2023, by Warner Bros. Home entertainment. 189 The film was available for streaming exclusively on Max on December 15, 2023, including an American Sign Language version. 190. Censorship. 9-line controversy. See also, territorial disputes in the South China Sea and 9-line. The controversy over the alleged appearance of the 9-line, a depiction of the South China Sea from Chinese perspective, in the film began when Vietnam's Film Censorship Authority banned the film for allegedly displaying such lines. In contrast, the counterpart from the Philippines requested that the lines in question be blurred. Both countries have banned the films Abominable, 2019, and Uncharted, 2022, for featuring the actual 9-line. 191-192 The 9-line is controversial due to maritime border disputes between China, Vietnam, Taiwan, Malaysia, Brunei, and the Philippines. 193. Vietnam. On July 3, 2023, Vietnamese newspaper Tui Tr quoted Six Kin Ton Six, head of the Department of Cinema, as announcing that Barbie would be banned in Vietnam because it contained the offending image of the 9-line. 194-195 The Tin Phong newspaper reported that the 9-line appears multiple times in the film. 196-197 The film was originally scheduled to be released in Vietnam on July 21. 198. Speaking to Voice of America, TRNH Halong, founder of the research group Legal Initiatives for Vietnam, said, "The censors will even be praised for overreacting to the unclear map, by both their superiors and the public, because anti-China sentiment runs deep into the country's political culture, and that the government is surely using legitimate nationalist reasoning to strengthen its entire censorship system." While Michael Castor at the Free Expression Group Article 19 said, "Maps are political, and borders often bear historical wounds, but rather than ensuring free and open discussion, the knee-jerk response to censor seldom supports historical or transitional justice." 199. Speaking to Vox, University of California, Berkeley professor Peter Zeineman said, "To the Chinese, the 9-line signifies their legitimate claims to the South China Sea, and to the Vietnamese, it symbolizes a brazen act of imperialist bullying that elevates Chinese national interest over an older shared set of interests of socialist brotherhood." Harvard University professor Hotam H. Tai-6 said since the producers of the film were aiming for the mainland Chinese market in the hopes that it would be a blockbuster, they are ready to accept mainland China's view of geography. Disinformation works by repetition. New York University professor Kevin Lee said, "In my view, banning Barbie was a no-brainer." 200. In response to Vietnam's ban, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning stated at a press briefing on July 4 that the South China Sea issue should not be linked with normal cultural exchange. 201. The Philippines. When news of Vietnam's ban reached the Philippines, Senator Francis Tolentino, vice chairman of the Philippine Senate Committee on Foreign Relations, told CNN Philippines that Barbie may also be banned in the country because it denigrates Filipino sovereignty. 202. Senator Jinggoy Estrada called the film to be banned over the alleged inclusion of the 9-dash line. Opposition Senator Risa Hontiveros quipped the movie is fiction, and so is the 9-dash line, and suggested adding a disclaimer to the film instead of banning its release. 203. Senator Robin Padilla, chairman of the Senate Mass Media Committee, suggested that the film producers must edit out references to the 9-dash line or risk the film being banned. 204. On July 11, the Philippines Movie and Television Review and Classification Board, MTRCB, came to the conclusion that there was no basis to banning the film as the map was simply cartoonish and that there was no clear nor outright depiction of the 9-dash line, as the line in the film was not U-shaped and had 8 dots or dashes instead of 9. 205-206. The board gave the film a PG rating, as well as allowing it to be screened in the country, however they requested Warner Bros. To blur the controversial lines in order to avoid further misinterpretations. 207-208. Senator Tolentino said that he respected the MTRCB's decision, but expressed his dismay at it emerging a day before the 7th anniversary of Philippines' victory in an arbitration over the 9-dash line on July 12, 2016. 209-210. The film was released in the Philippines on July 19, 2023. 210. World Map Drawing and Warner Bros. Statement. Following the news of Vietnam's ban of the film, some media outlets pointed to a scene in the film's trailer featuring a drawing of a world map with a curved line of dashes alongside Asia, which they said represented China's 9-dash line claim to the South China Sea. Warner Bros. Stated that it was not intended to make any type of statement. With the rising concerns over the alleged appearance of the 9-dash line, several media outlets pointed to a drawing of a world map which appears in a trailer for the film. 211, 212, 213, 214. The Los Angeles Times described the particular image as a map of the real world which looks as if it's been drawn in crayon by a child with a line of dashes alongside the coast of what should be China. 211. On July 6, 2023, Warner Bros. Issued a statement explaining that the map in the concerned image is a childlike crayon drawing, with the dashed lines depicting Barbie's journey from Barbieland to the real world, and was not intended to make any type of statement. 215-216. Jordan Richard Schoenherr from Concordia University said that while the map might seem innocuous, the repeated presentation of images that supported the goals of the Chinese government risks increasing their acceptance by international publics and is therefore a cause for concern. 217. In the world map drawing, dashed lines can be seen near Asia, the United States, Greenland, Brazil, and Africa. 218. Religious interpretation and LGBTQN themes. In some Muslim-majority countries, there were attempts to ban the film on moral grounds or for allegedly showing LGBTQN themes. Some of them were successful. 219. Pakistan. In Pakistan, the film was released nationwide on July 21, 2023. 220. The Punjab Film Censor Board, which handles the censorship in the Punjab province, and other regional equivalents, cleared the film for screening. 220. But on July 22, Punjab province's caretaker Minister of Information and Culture Amir Mir used his authority to halt the screenings of the film in the province, alleging that it shows homosexuality. 220. Punjab's Information Secretary Ali Nawaz Malik told Dawn that the film has been sent to Dubai for a censorship review. 221. On August 1, the final approval was given for the film to be shown in the province. 222. Middle East. In the Middle East, the film was initially scheduled to be released on July 19, 2023, before being delayed to August 31. 223 later, Vox Cinemas, the distributor of Warner Brothers films in the region, announced that the film would be released in the region on August 10. 224 Although the film censorship authorities in the region initially did not specify any reason, it was suggested that the inclusion of a transgender actress in one of the Barbie roles, and the narrations and dialogues related to LGBTQ and matters might have been the issues with the film. 224. On August 9, 2023, Lebanon's Minister of Culture Mohamed Mortadadeh, who is backed by Hezbollah, proposed that the film be banned in the country for promoting homosexuality and sexual transformation and contradicting values of faith and morality by diminishing the importance of the family unit. Following Mortadadeh's proposal, the Minister of Interior and Municipalities Bassam Malawi asked the relevant authority, which is under the scope of Interior Ministry's General Security, to review the film and give its recommendation. 225 226 227 On August 11, it was reported that the Lebanese Authority, comprising the representatives from the General Security and the Ministry of Economy and Trade, found no reason to ban the film in the country. 228 229 On September 1, the film was formally approved for screening in Lebanon for audiences aged 13 and above. 230 Barbie was released in Lebanese theaters on September 7. 231 232. Also on August 9, 2023, the Kuwaiti Authority which formally announced the ban of both Barbie and Australian horror film Talk to Me, which stars a non-binary and transgender actor, with the head of the authority Laf al-Subay accusing the former of carrying ideas that encourage unacceptable behavior and distort society's values. 225 226 227. Algeria. On August 13, 2023, just 3 weeks after its release on July 19, the screenings of Barbie were halted in film theaters in Algeria. 233 234 According to Reuters, the official source was quoted as saying that the film promotes homosexuality and other Western deviances and that it does not comply with Algeria's religious and cultural beliefs. 235. Reception. Box office. Barbie grossed $636.2 million in the United States and Canada, and $810.8 million in other territories, for a worldwide total of $1.447 billion. 6.7 This was described by Warner Brothers as reaching a Barbillion. 236 Deadline Hollywood calculated the film's net profit as $421 million, accounting for production budgets, marketing, talent participations, and other costs, box office grosses, television and streaming, and home media revenues placed it second on their list of 2023's most valuable blockbusters. 237. It was described as a record-breaking box office success during its opening weekend 238 239 240 and set the record for any film that was not a sequel, remake, or superhero property. 241 Barbie became the highest-grossing live-action comedy film of all time, smashing the domestic record formerly held by Home Alone, 1990, and the worldwide record formerly held by The Hangover Part 2, 2011, simultaneously. 242 It has also become Gerwig's highest-grossing film, overtaking its predecessor Little Women, 2019. 243 The film crossed the $1 billion mark worldwide on August 6, 2023, making it the only film by a solo female director to do so. 244 This was also the fastest Warner Brothers film to reach $1 billion, beating Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, 2011. 245 246 In late August, Barbie surpassed that same film again, becoming Warner Brothers' highest-grossing film, not adjusted for inflation. 247 By September 2, the film surpassed $1.365 billion at the global box office, replacing the Super Mario Bros. Movie as the highest-grossing film of the year. 248-249. Additionally, it became the highest-grossing film by a solo female director, surpassing the previous record held by Jialing for Hi, Mom, 2021. 250. United States and Canada. In the United States and Canada, Barbie was released alongside Oppenheimer, and was originally projected to gross $91.25 million from 4,243 theaters in its opening weekend, with Warner Bros. Predicting a $75 million debut. 251. The week of their release, AMC Theaters announced that over 40,000 AMC Stubs members had pre-booked tickets to both films on the same day. 252. It earned $70.5 million on its opening day, which included $22.3 million from Wednesday and Thursday night previews, both of which were the best of 2023. 253. Barbie's opening weekend gross of $162 million marked the largest opening since Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, $181.3 million in November 2022. It was also the biggest opening ever for a film helmed by a female director, besting Captain Marvel, 2019, and surpassed Suicide Squad, 2016, to have Robbie's highest opening weekend, as well as Blade Runner 2049, 2017, to have Gosling's largest opening weekend. 254-255. It scored the third highest July opening weekend at the time, behind The Lion King, 2019, and Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. 256. This also marked the third highest opening weekend for a Warner Bros. Film, after the latter film and Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, 2016. 257. Barbie also scored the biggest opening for a film based on a toy, surpassing Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, 2009. 258. Furthermore, it dethroned The Secret Life of Pets, 2016, to achieve the biggest non-sequel July opening weekend. 255. Upon opening, Barbie reached the number 1 spot at the box office, defeating Oppenheimer, Mission: Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 and Sound of Freedom. 259. Following its opening weekend, Barbie surpassed The Dark Knight, 2008, as the highest Monday gross ever for a Warner Bros. Film, collecting a total of $26.1 million. 260. It also quickly beat La La Land, 2016, to become Gosling's highest-grossing film of all time. 261. In its second weekend, the film earned $92 million, dropping by 43%, which was the largest sophomore weekend ever for a Warner Bros. Film and the 7th largest ever. 262-263. The film remained in first place with $53 million in its third weekend, $244 and $33.7 million in its fourth weekend. 264. On August 16, 2023, Barbie once again surpassed The Dark Knight, this time as the highest-grossing domestic release in Warner Bros. History, having earned $537.5 million. 265. The film was dethroned in its fifth weekend by newcomer Blue Beetle, $25 million, though it continued to hold well with a gross of $21.5 million. 266. On August 24, 2023, Barbie surpassed the Super Mario Bros. Movie, $574 million, to become the highest-grossing film of the year in North America. 267, 268, 269. Barbie finished in second place again in its sixth weekend, this time behind newcomer Gran Turismo. 270. Other territories. Outside of the United States and Canada, Barbie earned $194.3 million from 69 offshore markets in its opening weekend. Of the 69 markets, it was the number one film for the weekend in 58, scored the largest opening weekend for a Warner Bros. Film in 26 and marked the largest opening for a 2023 film in 24. In the United Kingdom, the film opened with $24.2 million, which was the year's largest opening. In France, it opened with $10.2 million, marking the largest debut for a Warner Bros. Film since Joker, 2019. 271 the following weekend, Barbie earned $127 million, dropping by just 31%. It remained the number one film of the weekend in 57 markets. Within its sophomore weekend, it became the highest-grossing film of 2023 in Brazil, as well as the highest-grossing Warner Bros. Release ever. In Australia, the film scored the largest second week ever, for a running total of $30.6 million after 2 weekends. In the UK, Barbie began outpacing the 10-day total of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, Warner Bros.' highest-grossing film in the country, in its second weekend. 272 in its third weekend, Barbie grossed $74 million from 69 markets for a drop of 41%. 273 the highest-grossing overseas markets were the United Kingdom, $120.8 million, Germany, $56.5 million, Australia, $55.6 million, Mexico, $54.3 million, and France, $47.6 million. 275 in Ireland, Barbie became the highest-grossing film in history with $9.57 million, surpassing Avatar, 2009. 276. By contrast, in South Korea, where the film opened on July 19, 2023, Barbie underperformed at the box office. During the period between July 28 and 30, 2023, the film recorded around 81,000 admissions, earning $667,000, and finished in the 5th place in the South Korean box office, falling behind Smugglers, around 1.17 million admissions, $9.31 million, Elemental, around 360,000 admissions, $2.85 million, Mission: Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, around 300,000 admissions, $2.43 million, and The Detective Conan: Black Iron Submarine, around 89,000 admissions, $703,000. 278 It was suggested that the animosity against feminist messages in the film, the lack of popularity of Barbie dolls in South Korea, and cultural differences between United States and South Korea have contributed to the film's underperformance there. 279 280 281 282 Film critic Yun Sung-ian told Yonhap News Agency that in South Korea, where the recognition of feminism is not good, people don't want to accept that an amusement-like film has a message about social issues, and that the film uses its later half to preach about sexual discrimination, which might be hard to accept to South Koreans. 280 In an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Kang Ha-young, the producer of Smugglers, said, "I couldn't understand why Hollywood went so wild about Barbie, perhaps because it has never been our toy. 281. Writing for the Korea Times, Professor Emeritus Mark Peterson at Brigham Young University opined that the film underperformed in South Korea because it was one fully loaded package of American culture of the last 50 years, which didn't convey much meaning to South Korean audiences. 282. In Japan, Barbie ranked at number 16. 283 Prior to the release date, public opinion of Barbie had soured after the official Twitter account for the Barbie film had responded positively to several Barbenheimer memes, all of which depicted atomic bombing mushroom clouds comically. This was seen as an endorsement of such jokes, and, in turn, was met with disapproval from the Japanese public, who criticized their ignorance, particularly due to their negligence towards the history of the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Mitsuki Takahata, who provided Barbie's voice in the Japanese dub of the film, stated on her Instagram account that she was disappointed and had considered dropping out of one of the film's promotional events. 284 In China, Barbie earned more than $32 million as of August 2023. 285. Critical response. Ryan Gosling and America Ferrera earned Academy Award nominations for Best Supporting Actor and Actress for their performances. Barbie attained widespread critical acclaim. See on the review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, 88% of 500 critics' reviews are positive, with an average rating of 0.8. The website's consensus reads, Barbie is a visually dazzling comedy whose meta-humor is smartly complemented by subversive storytelling. 294. Metacritic, which uses a weighted average, assigned the film a score of 80 out of 100, based on 67 critics, indicating generally favorable reviews. 295 audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of A on an A and to F scale, while those polled by PostTrack gave it an 89% overall positive score, with 79% saying they would definitely recommend the film. 4. In his review for the Chicago Tribune, Michael Phillips called Barbie a lovely, eccentrically imaginative example of brand extension and raw, untrammeled commercialism, applauded the production design, and summed, the crucial partnership here is the one between director and performer, Gerwig and Robbie, anything Gerwig and Baumbach's verbally dexterous script requires, from Barbie's first teardrop to the final punchline, Robbie handles with unerring precision. 296. Richard Brody of The New Yorker called it brilliant, beautiful, and fun as hell, claiming the giddily stylized vision of a doll coming to life makes a serious case for the art of adapting even the most sanitized IP. And commended the free and wild direction as well as the profuse and exquisite visual aesthetics. 297. Charlotte O'Sullivan of the Evening Standard hailed the film as easily the comedy of the year with a large amount of fun, where star and producer Margot Robbie, and writer-director Greta Gerwig, have done themselves proud with a breezily outrageous film about a woman's right to be weird, dark, and crazy. 298. Eileen Jones of Jacobin said that the film manages to overcome cumbersome plotting and feminist pieties to provide a delightful spectacle of funny moments that add up to something pretty good. 299. In The Guardian, Peter Bradshaw awarded Barbie a 3 out of 5 stars, describing it as beamingly affectionate and deliriously pink-themed but perhaps a giant 2-hour commercial for a product, and highlighted Gosling as a scene stealer, being given all the best lines. 300. Loviak Yarki of The Hollywood Reporter called the film a tricky balancing act of corporate fealty and subversion, lauding Gerwig's direction, the set design, costumes, soundtrack, and lead performances, but criticizing the muddled politics and flat emotional landing. 11. Variety critic Peter DeBrugge praised the humor for giving permission to challenge what Barbie represents and lauded Gosling's physical performance, but concluded that the film is an intellectual experience, not an emotional one, grounded largely in audience nostalgia. 301. In the Vulture component of New York, Alison Willmore commended the lead performances, particularly that of Robbie, whom she characterized as capable of heartbreaking earnestness as humor, and who sometimes effortlessly achieved both at once, but lamented the themes of the film, opining that it doesn't ultimately want to do much more than talk itself in circles about these themes. 302. On a similar note, Stephanie Zacharek of Time praised Robbie's buoyant, charming performance, Gosling's go-for-broke effort, and the inventive production design, but criticized the self-aware nature of the film, especially following the first half-hour, concluding that it is a feminist film only in the most scattershot way, and that it is not subversive. 303. A mixed review in Le Monde also expressed doubts about the treatment of the topical issue and found that the doll drowned herself in kitsch derision, while GQ France, regretting that the film did not prove as radical as might have been expected, found it was somehow a continuation of Little Women. 304. Camilla Long of The Times wrote that the film featured Mattel's pink, squealing, corporate grasping, trying to be ahead of the sexism curve, but ended up feeling sexist itself for its portrayal that men are stupid, go to the gym, run everything and don't care about women, while women are sensible, striving but ultimately conflicted victims. 305. In the review of Kyle Smith of The Wall Street Journal, he stated, as bubbly as the film appears, its script is like a grumpier-than-average women's studies seminar, exemplified by the Mattel employee character's long monologue on how miserable it is to be female. 306 Movie Web ranked it number 1 on its list of the best comedy movies of the 2020s, so far, writing that Gerwig's ode to the Barbie girl and her Barbie world is as surprisingly modern and introspective as audiences have come to expect from her work. Scrunching 60-plus years of history into a 2-hour time frame aside, this film gets straight at the heart of what it's like being a woman today while providing more than a laugh or two in the process. 307. Chinese film critic Li Jingfei praised the film's humor and criticism of patriarchy, qualifying that its themes were too often advanced by slogans rather than the experiences of its characters. 308. Filmmakers such as Alison Anders, Joe Dante, Drew Goddard, Chad Hartigan, Max Hechtman, Rachel Morrison, and Paul Schrader also cited the film as among their favorites of 2023. 309, 310, 311. On February 26, 2025, Barbie became the first film to be logged 5 million times on Letterboxd. 312. In March 2025, The New York Times listed Barbie as among the movies we've loved since 2000. 313. Accolades. Main article, list of accolades received by Barbie, film. The National Board of Review and the American Film Institute named Barbie one of the top 10 films of 2023. 314, 315. The film's soundtrack, album and score received 12 nominations at the 66th Annual Grammy Awards. 316. Barbie tied with Cabaret, 1972, for the second most nominations in Golden Globe Awards history, earning a leading 9 at the 81st edition. It would ultimately win 2 awards at the ceremony, including Best Original Song, for What Was I Made For, and the inaugural Golden Globe for Cinematic and Box Office Achievement. 317, 318. Earning 18 nominations at its 29th ceremony, the film received the most nominations in Critics' Choice Movie Awards history. 319, 320. Long-listed in 15 categories at the 77th British Academy Film Awards, Barbie, along with Oppenheimer and Killers of the Flower Moon, equaled the BAFTA long-list record for most nominations set by Edward Berger's German anti-war film All Quiet on the Western Front, 2022. 321. It also received 8 nominations at the 96th Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Supporting Actor, Gosling, Best Supporting Actress, Ferrera, and 2 nominations for Best Original Song, for I'm Just Ken and What Was I Made For. 322, 323. It eventually won Best Original Song, for What Was I Made For. 324. Themes and analysis. As with the doll itself, feminism and related themes in the film were the subject of discussion. Some reviews for the film saw it as satirizing capitalism, while others perceived it as being a satire utilizing capitalist themes. 332. Philosophy. Barbie has been characterized as exploring themes of existentialism. 333, 334, 335. Lucy Ford of GQ wrote that the film ruminates on the very idea of what makes us human, the idea of the other, whether there's truly such a thing as autonomy or if we're all simply pawns to be picked up and disposed of when we are no longer useful. Ford observed that, in the film, Barbie and Ken go on opposite but equal journeys of self-discovery, after venturing out into the real world and learning that it is an oppressive patriarchal society as opposed to the matriarchal utopia that is Barbieland, and get caught in the crosshairs of being both sentient and someone else's idea, battling with free will and the omnipresent predetermined rules about where to go and how to act. 334. In Clark University, professor of philosophy Wiebe Diemling compared a scene in the film, in which Barbie has to make a choice between going back to her perfect life in Barbieland or learning the truth about her existence in the real world, to The Experience Machine, a thought experiment by American philosopher Robert Nozick. Diemling also observed that gender in Barbieland is performative, noting how the Kens behave before and after a patriarchy is established. 336 Alyssa Wilkinson of Vox compared Barbieland to the biblical Garden of Eden, with Barbie and Ken as inverted parallels of Adam and Eve. She saw Barbie and Ken's first impression that they're suddenly self-conscious and aware of being looked at in the real world as the film's version of the fall. 337 Chinese film critic Li Jingfei compared Barbie's sudden awareness of death to the moment when Siddhartha Gautama left the palace of his birth and first learned of suffering and death, which eventually led to his enlightenment. 308. Feminism. Katie Pickles of The Conversation said that Barbie shows how the matriarchy can be as bad as the patriarchy, with the Kens being the objectified and excluded sex in Barbieland. Pickles further comments that the true heroes were outcasts such as Weird Barbie and Alan, who deprogrammed the Barbies from tolerating the status quo. She believes that this aligns with Gerwig's conception of feminism, where everyone stands in the sunshine. 338-339. Jack Butler of National Review rejected the perception of the film as a shallow, man-hating, and repulsive screed and argued that the film is instead a post-feminist satire of what feminists imagine a perfect world looking like and of what they imagine male dominance is like, noted that in the real world, Ken is rebuffed in all of his attempts to join the male hierarchy that purportedly dominates the world. He must return to Barbieland to institute it. What he institutes there is so shallow that it collapses almost as quickly as it is set up. Meanwhile, though Robbie's Barbie restores female dominance in Barbieland, she chooses not to stay there, electing instead to become fully human. 340. Ross Douthat, writing in the New York Times, argued that the film is a movie with a feminist default, but also has complicated and sometimes muddled feelings about what the sexual revolution has done and where feminism ought to go. Douthat comments that the female-centric nature of Barbieland is dystopian, where men are nothing more than arm candy, and where pregnant women and children are marginalized. He describes the film as against the resilient patriarchy, but wary of the girl boss alternative. It wants womanhood and motherhood, but it doesn't want the Kens back in charge, and it doesn't really know what purpose men should serve. 341. Many journalists coupled Barbie with the Eras tour by Taylor Swift for the concurrent representation of recontextualized mainstream femininity. 342, 343, 344 Michelle Goldberg of The New York Times described the launch of the film and the tour, their rave public reception, and the associated critical discourses as the biggest cultural phenomena of 2023 summer, explaining that beneath their slick, exuberant pop surfaces, both the film and the tour tell female coming-of-age stories marked by existential crises and bitter confrontations with sexism. 345 Ben Cicerio considered both the works as critiques of patriarchy. 346 While Talia Lawkritz of Business Insider said both of them reclaim girlhood without rescinding power. 347 Similarly, Chris Willman stated that both use patriarchy as a subject of irony while being utterly friendly to and welcoming of men as much as anybody, eventually becoming a billion-dollar earning phenomenon. 348. Masculinity. In the Los Angeles Times, Jean Guerrero presented a subtext to the film's feminist exterior, in which a world that disregards men and their feelings is an inverted form of patriarchy and also cruel, and added, the film is a rare product of mainstream culture that invites men to reimagine masculinity for their own sake. It acknowledges the identity crisis and loss of hope, economic promise, and life purpose among American men. These struggles are often ignored by progressives, but conveniently and poisonously exploited by right-wing manfluencers from Andrew Tate to Josh Hawley. The film's reception has focused on its messages of women's empowerment, but what makes it a radical story is that it also invites women to reimagine feminism so that it doesn't ignore male struggles. 349. Nicholas Bala-Isis contended in Psychology Today that Barbie provides a relatively nuanced portrayal of masculinity in two cases that resonated with issues and concerns frequent in clinical psychology and therapy. In the first case, which concerns the overvaluation of a woman's gaze and attention on male sense of self-esteem, and even an existential sense of identity, Ken turns to patriarchal expression and masculine dominance over other men, women, or objects because he does not receive the sense of attractiveness, worth, and general self-value he wants from Barbie's gaze and attention. In the second case, which concerns the relationship to shame or existential solitude and the conversion to sex as soothing, when Barbie approaches Ken in the third act of the film for consolation, he interprets it as a sexual advance and tries to kiss her, which Dr. Bala Isis likened to the same way that shame can quickly morph into resentment and anger. Here we see loneliness and existential angst being converted into a sexual plea for sex to solve and resolve these bad feelings. 350. Megan Garber of The Atlantic found that Ken and his journey of self-discovery mimics adolescence, writing, like any teenager, Ken is figuring out who he is, and trying the world's possibilities on for size. But his immaturity is not contained, and this is its problem. His adolescent approach to the world, instead, inflicts itself on everyone else. Garber concluded that Ken embodies a core idea in the film that patriarchy is a profound form of immaturity. 351 Eliana Dochterman of Time noted that Ken's radicalization resembles the men's rights movement, particularly in his feelings of emasculation, male fragility, and evangelization of the patriarchy. 352. Possible sequel. On July 25, 2023, following Barbie's premiere, director Greta Gerwig stated she had no plans for a sequel. 353 On August 4, 2023, it was reported that Gerwig, co-writer Noah Baumbach and stars Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling had been contracted for only one film. 354 On December 13, 2024, The Hollywood Reporter reported that a sequel film to Barbie had entered early development from Warner Bros. And Mattel, with Gerwig and Baumbach set to return. Representatives for Warner Bros., Gerwig, and Baumbach denied the claim. Barbie, director and co-writer Greta Gerwig's Summer Splash, is a dazzling achievement, both technically and in tone. It's a visual feast that succeeds as both a gleeful escape and a battle cry. So crammed with impeccable attention to detail is Barbie that you couldn't possibly catch it all in a single sitting, you'd have to devote an entire viewing just to the accessories, for example. The costume design, led by two-time Oscar winner Jacqueline Duran, and production design, led by six-time Oscar nominee Sarah Greenwood, are constantly clever and colorful, befitting the ever-evolving icon, and cinematographer Rodrigo Prieto, a three-time Oscar nominee, gives everything a glossy gleam. It's not just that Gerwig and co. have recreated a bunch of Barbies from throughout her decades-long history, outfitted them with a variety of clothing and hairstyles, and placed them in pristine dream houses. It's that they've brought these figures to life with infectious energy and a knowing wink. Barbie can be hysterically funny, with giant laugh-out-loud moments generously scattered throughout. They come from the insularity of an idyllic, pink-hued realm and the physical comedy of fish-out-of-water moments and choice pop culture references as the outside world increasingly encroaches. But because the marketing campaign has been so clever and so ubiquitous, you may discover that you've already seen a fair amount of the movie's inspired moments, such as the 2001, A Space Odyssey homage and Ken's self-pitying 80s power ballad. Such is the anticipation industrial complex. And so you probably already know the basic plot. Barbie, Margot Robbie, the most popular of all the Barbies in Barbieland, begins experiencing an existential crisis. She must travel to the human world in order to understand herself and discover her true purpose. Her kinda sorta boyfriend, Ken, Ryan Gosling, comes along for the ride because his own existence depends on Barbie acknowledging him. Both discover harsh truths and make new friends along the road to enlightenment. This bleeding of stark reality into an obsessively engineered fantasy calls to mind the revelations of The Truman Show and The Lego Movie, but through a wry prism that's specifically Gerwig's. This is a movie that acknowledges Barbie's unrealistic physical proportions and the kinds of very real body issues they can cause in young girls while also celebrating her role as a feminist icon. After all, there was an astronaut Barbie doll, 1965, before there was an actual woman in NASA's astronaut corps, 1978, an achievement Barbie commemorates by showing two suited-up women high-fiving each other among the stars, with Robbie's Earthbound Barbie saluting them with a sunny, yay, space. This is also a movie in which Mattel, the doll's manufacturer, and Warner Brothers. The film's distributor, at least create the appearance that they're in on the surprisingly pointed jokes at their expense. Mattel headquarters features a spacious, top-floor conference room populated solely by men with a heart-shaped, Dr. Strangelove-inspired lamp hovering over the table, yet Will Ferrell's CEO insists his company's gender-neutral bathrooms up the wazoo are evidence of diversity. It's a neat trick. As the film's star, Margot Robbie finds just the right balance between satire and sincerity. She's the perfect casting choice, it's impossible to imagine anyone else in the role. The blonde-haired, blue-eyed stunner completely looks the part, of course, but she also radiates the kind of unflagging, exaggerated optimism required for this heightened, candy-coated world. Later, as Barbie's understanding expands, Robbie masterfully handles the more complicated dialogue by Gerwig and her co-writer and frequent collaborator, filmmaker Noah Baumbach. From a blinding smile to a single tear and every emotion in between, Robbie finds the ideal energy and tone throughout. Her performance is a joy to behold. And yet, Ryan Gosling is a consistent scene stealer as he revels in Ken's himbo frailty. He goes from Barbie's needy beau to a swaggering, macho doofus as he throws himself headlong into how he thinks a real man should behave. Viewers familiar with Los Angeles geography will particularly get a kick out of the places that provide his inspiration. Gosling sells his square-jawed character's earnestness and gets to tap into his all-new Mickey Mouse Club musical theater roots simultaneously. He's a total hoot. Within the film's enormous ensemble where the women are all Barbies and the men are all Kens, with a couple of exceptions there are several standouts. They include a gonzo Kate McKinnon as the so-called weird Barbie who places Robbie's character on her path, Issa Rae as the no-nonsense President Barbie, Alexandra Shipp as a kind and capable Dr. Barbie, Simu Liu as the trash-talking Ken who torments Gosling's Ken, and America Ferrera in a crucial role as a Mattel employee. And we can't forget Cera as the one Alan, bumbling awkwardly in a sea of hunky Kens although everyone else forgets Alan. But while Barbie is wildly ambitious in an exciting way, it's also frustratingly uneven at times. After coming on strong with wave after wave of zippy hilarity, the film drags in the middle as it presents its more serious themes. It's impossible not to admire how Gerwig is taking a big swing with heady notions during the mindless blockbuster season, but she offers so many that the movie sometimes stops in its propulsive tracks to explain itself to us and then explain those points again and again. The breezy, satirical edge she established off the top was actually a more effective method of conveying her ideas about the perils of toxic masculinity and entitlement and the power of female confidence and collaboration. One character delivers a lengthy, third-act speech about the conundrum of being a woman and the contradictory standards to which society holds us. The middle-aged mom in me was nodding throughout in agreement, feeling seen and understood, as if this person knew me and was speaking directly to me. But the longtime film critic in me found this moment a preachy momentum killer, too heavy-handed, too on the nose, despite its many insights. Still, if such a crowd-pleasing extravaganza can also offer some fodder for thoughtful conversations afterward, it's accomplished several goals simultaneously. It's like sneaking spinach into your kids' brownies or, in this case, blondies. Hello friends, you're watching the very famous and super hit English movie, Barbie. In this video we will inform you about the main characters, actors and various interesting effects shots in the movie and complete details of the movie. Friends, if you are new to our channel then don't forget to subscribe the channel and like the video and support us to watch more interesting videos so that we can be motivated and bring you better videos. So let's move on. The movie Barbie. Barbie is a 2023 fantasy comedy film directed by Greta Gerwig from a screenplay she wrote with Noah Baumbach. Based on the fashion dolls by Mattel, it is the first live-action Barbie film after numerous animated films and specials. Starring Margot Robbie as the title character and Ryan Gosling as Ken, the film follows them on a journey of self-discovery through Barbieland and the real world following an existential crisis. The supporting cast includes America Ferrera, Cera, Kate McKinnon, Issa Rae, Rhea Perlman, and Will Ferrell. A live-action Barbie film was announced in September 2009 by Universal Pictures with Lawrence Mark producing. Development began in April 2014, when Sony Pictures acquired the film rights. Following multiple writer and director changes and the casting of Amy Schumer and later Anne Hathaway as Barbie, the rights were transferred to Warner Bros. Pictures in October 2018. Robbie was cast in 2019, after Gal Gadot turned down the role due to scheduling conflicts, and Gerwig was announced as director and co-writer with Baumbach in 2020. The rest of the cast was announced in early 2022. Principal photography occurred primarily at Warner Bros. Studios, Leavesden, England, and at the Venice Beach Skate Park in Los Angeles from March to July 2022. Barbie premiered at the Shrine Auditorium in Los Angeles on July 9, 2023, and was released in the United States on July 21. Its concurrent release with Universal Pictures' Oppenheimer was the catalyst of the Barbenheimer phenomenon, encouraging audiences to see both films as a double feature. The film grossed $1.446 billion and achieved several milestones, including the highest-grossing film of 2023 and the 14th highest-grossing film of all time at the time of its release. Named one of the top 10 films of 2023 by the National Board of Review and the American Film Institute, Barbie received widespread critical acclaim and other accolades, including 8 Academy Award nominations, among them Best Picture, winning Best Original Song for What Was I Made For? The song also won the Golden Globe Award for Best Original Song, while the film received the inaugural Golden Globe Award for Cinematic and Box Office Achievement. Plot: a stereotypical Barbie and fellow dolls reside in Barbieland, a matriarchal society populated by different versions of Barbie, Ken, and a group of discontinued models who are treated like outcasts due to their unconventional traits. While the Kens spend their days playing at the beach, considering it their profession, the Barbies hold prestigious jobs in law, science, politics, and so on. Ken, Beach Ken, is only happy when he is with Barbie, and he seeks a closer relationship with her, but she rebuffs him in favor of other activities and female friendships. One evening at a dance party, Barbie is suddenly stricken with worries about mortality. Overnight, she develops bad breath, cellulite, and flat feet, disrupting her routines and impairing the aura of classic perfection experienced by the Barbies. Weird Barbie, a disfigured doll, tells Barbie to find the child playing with her in the real world to cure her afflictions. Barbie follows the advice and she travels to the real world, with the Ken joining Barbie by stowing away in her convertible. After arriving in Venice Beach, Barbie punches a man after he gropes her. The duo are briefly arrested. Alarmed by the doll's presence in the real world, the CEO of Mattel orders their recapture. Barbie tracks down her owner, a teenage girl named Sasha, who criticizes Barbie for encouraging unrealistic beauty standards. Distraught, Barbie discovers that Gloria, a Mattel employee and Sasha's mother, inadvertently caused Barbie's existential crisis after starting to play with Sasha's old Barbie dolls. Mattel attempts to put Barbie in a toy box for remanufacturing, but she escapes with the help of a mysterious elderly woman named Ruth. Gloria and Sasha arrive just in time to rescue Barbie from Mattel's executives, and the three travel to Barbieland with the executives in pursuit. Meanwhile, Ken learns about patriarchy and feels respected for the first time. He returns to Barbieland to persuade the other Kens to take over. The Kens begin to indoctrinate the Barbies into submissive roles, such as agreeable girlfriends, housewives, and maids. Barbie arrives and attempts to convince the Barbies to be independent again but fails, and she becomes depressed. Gloria expresses her frustration with the conflicting standards women are forced to follow in the real world. Gloria's speech restores Barbie's confidence. With the assistance of Sasha, Weird Barbie, Alan, and the discontinued dolls, Gloria uses her knowledge from the real world to deprogram the Barbies from their indoctrination. The Barbies then manipulate the Kens into fighting among themselves, which distracts them from enshrining male superiority into Barbieland's constitution, allowing the Barbies to regain power. Having now experienced systemic oppression for themselves, the Barbies resolve to rectify the faults of their previous society, emphasizing better treatment of the Kens and all outcasts. Barbie and Ken make amends, acknowledging their past mistakes. When Ken bemoans his lack of purpose without Barbie, she encourages him to find an autonomous identity. Barbie, who remains unsure of her own identity, meets with the spirit of Ruth Handler, Mattel co-founder and creator of the Barbie doll, who explains that Barbie's story has no set ending and her ever-evolving history surpasses her roots. After bidding goodbye to the other dolls and Mattel executives, Barbie decides to become human again and return to the real world. Some time later, Gloria, her husband, and Sasha take Barbie, now going by the name Barbara Handler, to her first gynecologist appointment. Cast: Margot Robbie at the 2016 San Diego Comic-Con International in San Diego, California. Ryan Gosling at the 2017 San Diego Comic-Con International in San Diego, California. Margot Robbie, left, and Ryan Gosling, right, respectively portray Barbie and Ken. Margot Robbie as Barbie, a doll who is often referred to as stereotypical Barbie. 10-11. Main variations of Barbie played by Issa Rae as President Barbie, the ruler of Barbieland. 12-13. Kate McKinnon as Weird Barbie, the outcast deformed Barbie who lives in the weird house and has knowledge of the lands outside of Barbieland. 14-13. Alexandra Shipp as writer Barbie. 15-13. Emma McKee as physicist Barbie. 16-13. Harry Neff as Dr. Barbie. 13. Sharon Rooney as lawyer Barbie. 12. Anna Cruz Kane as Judge Barbie. 12-13. Ritu Arya as journalist Barbie. 12-13. Dua Lipa as mermaid Barbie. 17-13. Nicola Coughlan as diplomat Barbie. 12-13. Ryan Gosling as Ken, a friend of stereotypical Barbie who is often referred to as Beach Ken. 18. Main variations of Ken played by Simu Liu as tourist Ken/rival Ken. 19-20-13. Kingsley Ben-Adir as basketball Ken. 12. Ncuti Gatwa as artist Ken. 19-12. Scott Evans as stereotypical Ken. 12. John Cena as Ken Maid, a Merman Ken. 21-22. America Ferrera as Gloria, a Mattel employee who helps Barbie in the real world. 23. Ariana Greenblatt as Sasha, Gloria's daughter. 24-25. Genevieve Toussaint as young Sasha. Rhea Perlman as Ruth Handler, a co-founder of Mattel whose ghost has an office on Mattel's 17th floor. 5. Helen Mirren as the voice of the narrator. B26. Will Ferrell as the unnamed CEO of Mattel. 27. Michael Cera as Alan, a Barbieland inhabitant of whom there is only one. 28-29. Connor Swindells as Aaron Dinkins, a low-level Mattel employee who informs the CEO of Barbie's appearance in Los Angeles. Jamie Demetriou as the unnamed CFO of Mattel. Emerald Fennell as Midge, a pregnant doll in Barbieland who lives near stereotypical Barbie despite being discontinued. 30-29. Asim Chaudhry as a Mattel warehouse employee. Ray Fearon as Dan at the FBI, a contact of the CEO of Mattel. Erica Ford as Skipper, one of Barbie's neighbors. 29. Hannah Calicky Brown as growing up Skipper, one of the discontinued dolls who lives with weird Barbie whose growing up feature that involves growing breasts when her arm is pushed remains intact. 29-31. Met Narrative as Barbie Video Girl, a doll with a TV on her back who is among the discontinued dolls living with weird Barbie. 29. Marissa Abella as Teen Talk Barbie, a teen talking doll who is among the discontinued dolls living with weird Barbie. 29-32. Lucy Boynton as Proust Barbie, one of the discontinued dolls who lives with weird Barbie that was seen in the background when Gloria, Sasha, and Alan arrive at weird Barbie's weird house. Boynton was meant to have more scenes, but test audiences' unfamiliarity with Marcel Proust, and thus inability to appreciate the humor associated with the Proust Barbie character, meant that she only appears in a brief cameo in the finished film. 33. Rob Brydon as Sugar Daddy Ken, one of the discontinued dolls who lives with weird Barbie. To clear up his name to Sasha when she quoted Sugar Daddy, he states that his toy puppy is named Sugar and that he is Sugar's father, as Mattel did when faced with controversy. 2912. Tom Sturton as Earring Magic Ken, one of the discontinued dolls who lives with weird Barbie and wears a magic earring. 2934. Anne Roth as the Woman on the Bench. 35. Annie Mumolo as Anxiety Mom. 36. Lauren Holt as Time Mom. 37-36. Ryan Piers Williams as Gloria's husband. The unnamed character is credited as El Esposo de Gloria, Spanish for Gloria's husband. 38. Tanner, a discontinued toy dog known for his defecating feature, makes a non-speaking appearance as one of the discontinued characters living with weird Barbie. 29. Production. Development. The concept of a live-action Barbie film was in development at Cannon Films in the mid-1980s. 39. Renewed development on a film based on the Barbie toy line began in September 2009, when it was announced that Mattel had signed a partnership with Universal Pictures and producer Lawrence Mark, but nothing came to fruition. 40. In April 2014, Mattel teamed with Sony Pictures to produce the film, which would have Jenny Bix writing the screenplay and Laurie MacDonald and Walter F. Parks producing through their Parks and MacDonald Image Nation banner. Filming was anticipated to begin by the end of the year. 41. In March 2015, Diablo Cody was brought onto the project to rewrite the screenplay, and Amy Pascal joined the producing team. 42. Sony ordered further rewrites by Lindsay Beer, Bert V. Royal and Hillary Winston, who submitted separate drafts. 43. In December 2016, Amy Schumer entered negotiations for the title role with Winston's screenplay. She helped rewrite the script with her sister, Kim Caramelli. 44. In March 2017, she exited negotiations, initially saying it was due to scheduling conflicts with the planned June 2017 filming. She revealed in 2023 that she left due to creative differences with the film's producers. 45-46. That July, Anne Hathaway was considered for the title role. Sony hired Olivia Milch to rewrite the screenplay and approached Alethea Jones to direct as a means of interesting Hathaway in signing. 47. Jones was attached to direct by March 2018.